seated still into the whitish golden flame, holding with sanctity and sacredness the whitish golden flame in our hearts, we begin to hold Savitri in our hands and take a moment to feel grateful to be able to hold Savitri, the mother who holds us, to be able to hold her in our hands. We begin to concentrate on Savitri. Page number 342, the Book of the Divine Mother, Canto 4, The Vision and the Boon. Page number 342. I know that thy creation cannot fail. Towards the bottom of the page, I know that thy creation cannot fail. A larger seeing man with nobler heart, a golden vessel of the incarnate truth, the executor of the divine attempt, equipped to wear the earthly body of God. Communicant and prophet and lover and king, I know that thy creation cannot fail. A larger seeing man with nobler heart, a larger seeing man with a nobler heart. It really feels like this is the description in some ways of Sri Aurobindo himself. A larger seeing man. It gives me the imagery, the very popular imagery of Sri Aurobindo sitting on the green sofa in his room. And when one looks at his eyes, one sees a great impersonal scene. Like he's seeing that nobody is seeing. The movements of the universe, the Trikala Drishti, the past, presence, and the future at once. The movement of the divine will, nature, and works that is happening over thousands of years. And he's able to follow through that movement of the divine lines that are being drawn across thousands and millions of years, and a landscape that encompasses the multiple universes. A large seeing man with a nobler heart. With a nobler heart. This awakening of the nobler heart in our chests is what we meditate on, is what we pray for. That no matter what circumstance comes into my life, may I never, ever lose my nobility, my goodness of being, my generosity of being, the nobleness, the greatness of my heart. A golden vessel of the incarnate truth. a golden vessel of the incarnate truth. Really, one can feel the entire body of Sri Aurobindo full of golden cells, a golden vessel of the incarnate truth. To incarnate means that the divine takes a conscious decision to take the human shape, and that is the fundamental difference between the avatar and us. We too are divine. We too are meant to be the golden vessel of the incarnate truth. The avatar, though, is the divine who consciously chooses to take the human form for a divine purpose and mission. And as human beings, we grow in the image of the divine. We search that divinity to become that divinity. But ultimately, both of us are to be and are a golden vessel of the incarnate truth. And the word truth is very important. A golden vessel of the incarnate truth. Truth because it is only in truth, it is only in Sat, it is only in Satya, it is only in an ever and all conscious truth that the love can manifest. In love, the grand vibration through which all of us have taken birth and the grand vibration for which all of us have taken birth, that can only manifest in truth. What we call as a sentimental attachment is not love, be it with our husband, wife, children, our families, or with the divine. A sentimental attachment with the divine is also not love. True love is born out of truth consciousness, the supramental consciousness. Truth that encompasses and includes all of multiplicity, honors diversity, sees the oneness. Truth that is made of the divine presence itself, that does not shy away. That does not shy away from breaking the knot when the knots have to be broken. This is not the sentimental love. This is the divine love, and that can only be born in a golden vessel of the incarnate truth, the executor of the divine attempt. And may all of us in this moment gathered here aspiring and meditating become the executor of the divine attempt. Somewhere Mother says that there are so many people on earth who are only concerned about I, me, myself. Then some of them break through that I, me, myself and begin to serve the family ego, the collective ego, the community ego, the social ego, the humanity ego, the nation ego. But there is hardly hardly the rarest of the rare, who fulfill the divine duty, who become the executor of the divine attempt. And the thing is, the society will make you feel guilty. The divine never will. And yet, every lifetime that we come on earth, we come on earth with a mission, with a purpose, not to enjoy. Enjoyment is important, bhog is important, but that's not the purpose with which our souls have taken birth on earth. There is an attempt by the divine will, by the divine Shakti to divinize earth. And can we participate in that process? Can we follow moment to moment the highest will, not made of fear, of judgment, of pride, of attachment, but a highest will that is made of self-giving, of faith, of a greater self-giving in consecration, to truly become the executor of the divine attempt, to truly do the work for which we came here on earth. All these lines are actually for the avatar. But the reason I am reading it in this particular way, where we begin to see the divine attempt that is happening inside of us, through us in our lives, it is because we graduate from our relationship with the divine, with that of being a devotee, to that of being a true seeker, so we can follow the footprints of our Master, equipped to wear the earthly body of God. And this is really something that brings often tears to my eyes. The divine wears the earthly body of God and comes upon earth. And it is the earth that does not understand the divine, that judges the divine avatar, that even blames and curses and abuses the divine avatar, that is so totally oblivious and ignorant of the sacrifice that the divine makes by undertaking the human suffering. And Sri Aurobindo's Samadhi, the lines that Mother has given, that talks about he who suffered. And his suffering is not the human suffering in which we find ourselves. His suffering is the suffering that he undertook willingly for the sake of us, equipped to wear the earthly body of God. One equipped to wear that earthly body, to take on the earthly pain and suffering for the sake of humanity, and then equipped to wear the earthly body of God. It is the earthly body, but not the earthly body alone, but the earthly body of God. Communicant and prophet and lover and king. Communicant, the one whose word transforms, the prophet, the one who sees far into the future, the lover of the divine, who does not give up no matter what who believes in the divine creation, no matter how much ignorance, darkness, falsehood exists on earth. And the King, I know that thy creation cannot fail. I know that thy creation cannot fail. I know that thy creation cannot fail. Each time we fear, each time we find ourselves caught into a certain karmic knot, and we have anxiety and we fear, the biggest epidemic of today's world is anxiety. The biggest epidemic of today's world is anxiety. Almost every third human being I meet has a great sense of restlessness and anxiety. Either that makes him very fidgety and restless on the outside, or really one on the inside. And anxiety is nothing but a lack of faith in the divine and the divine grace. So to know into the very pulse of your being, into the very pulse of your body in each and every cell, and to keep reminding yourself of this one thing, no matter what is going on in your life, no matter what war is going on the planet, no matter what is happening, no matter if you're feeling you're going through a rough and difficult period of your life, remember this one assurance given to us by the divine. Thy creation cannot fail. You're meant to be, each one of us is meant to be thriving, blooming in the image of the divine. Only we can take temporary detours. Permanent detour is not possible. We are what we are meant to be. I know thy creation cannot fail. I know thy creation cannot fail.